guys, and welcome to our season finale of Caribbean Spice and Southern Charm. We are so excited for tonight's episode. I am your host, Tony B,
I'm
I'm Dee
Gigi.
Dee.
and we are so excited to talk to you today. And so, the topic today, hopefully, is a very interesting one. So, we are going to be talking about the myth of having it all and unpacking success on our own terms. All right. And so, I think what I'm always curious about as I have traveled through these decades of life is what if this myth, what if this, not myth, sorry, what if this like thought or this concept of having it all is a myth, right? And it's a lie that we've been sold. So we sort of want to like talk about that and sort of break that down a little bit. All right. So, in anticipation of this myth of having it all, and when we say having it all, we're talking about like career, family, relationships, self care, all the good stuff. We have a special announcement. I think I mentioned it the last time. I might have alluded to it a little bit. But I am going to hand the mic over to Dee Dee, and she's going to share with us some of the changes that have been going on with her.
So, yes, we have some exciting news in our household. My husband and I are in the process of adopting two little boys that are brothers through DSS, and we are so excited. They've been in our home with us now almost 2 months. One is 7 and one is 15 months, and it has been an amazing journey, a big adjustment with such a robust career already in progress. And of course, we've been married now for almost 10 years. And so now adding two little ones to our family, it's been really, really exciting to grow our family this way and to see them adjust to their new environment.
Yeah. So I know, as you can imagine, we are going to use some of your experiences. And if you note, she is a little hoarse today because now she has babies and tired and work. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and see how
Yes.
that fits into the whole narrative. All right. So yeah. So what is, I guess, for everybody, like what is one thing that you've always thought when it comes to having all, or what is one thing that maybe you are concerned about when we talk about having it all, like a success metric that you want to ditch or something that you want to keep? What do you think?
Um, I always I always worried that having a robust career and having a family would mean that something had to suffer. It meant that I wouldn't have enough time for the children. I wouldn't have enough time for career. Something was going to have to sacrifice. I'm learning that setting up boundaries for everything, you're only one person. You can't be everywhere all the time. But that doesn't mean that you can't be successful in your career, be satisfied in your career, as well as being a hands-on parent. Sometimes kids will learn, oh, mommy has a project that she's working on, but I'll be there in just a minute.
Mm.
Or sometimes it means you put the project on hold and you go play Legos. And then when Legos are done, or dinner is done, or bath is done, then you go back to your project. But I think that we all, as adults, learn how to prioritize, um, whether that's projecting in the future, trying to plan our schedule to where we're not so jam-packed, we have flexibility. And other times it's in the moment. You just make a judgment call and say, this is my priority in the moment. This is what is the most important thing. And you do that thing. Then you move on to the next thing.
And I just want to piggyback, and this might take us down a tangent, but I don't know. But as you were speaking, I thought about many times I've had conversations with women that are going up for like job interviews, and I remember a very specific conversation I had with somebody, and she took off her engagement ring for
Mm.
the interview, and I was very confused. I was like, wait, why did you take off your engagement ring? And she's like, well, I don't want them to think that I want to start a family soon, or that I have a family, or that I'm in this relationship that might lead to family. And I was like, why not? And she was like, because I want them to think that I'm devoted to what I like, this job that I'm applying for. And I guess that never even occurred to me. I don't know if it would have occurred to me if I was in that particular situation of having like that family on the horizon, but I thought that was, I mean, it wasn't silly for her to think that, but I thought that was the silliest thing I've ever heard. Like, why would we have to even, essentially you're showing up as your non-authentic self to fit into this mold that you think that they want to see, right? And so I thought that was so fascinating, but that made me think about it, that is often this thought, and I don't know if it's projected by us as women or by men who historically have dominated corporate culture, but it's like you feel like you can't do it all, right? And like people won't believe that you can do it all. Obviously you're doing it, right? But it's just so interesting. So that made me think about that. Yeah, Gigi, did you have anything to add?
Absolutely. So for me, one lie that I felt like I was sold, that I cannot be my authentic self at work. So when I was working in banking, I felt like I had to be very stoic and very serious and have a very I couldn't be my authentic self at all. And I had felt like I couldn't, laugh or, joke with my clients. And I did that to a certain degree, but there always was a professional line there. But I felt like I was truly out of alignment. So what I felt like when I changed to my current company is that I can truly be my authentic self. I can tell jokes, I can wear my hair how I want, and I could truly be myself, and I feel valued where I am. So I feel like something that I had to shift is sometimes when you don't feel that you can be authentic self, it's not that you're the problem. You just have to shift into a different sphere where you can be accepted.
Yeah, and so I, with everything that's been going on and like the state of the world and the, I think we touched on it a couple of weeks ago, like this societal weight that Black women carry, right? You know, and I mean this phenomenon is not, I don't think, specific to Black women, as far as like not wanting to seem too family oriented when you start into a new position or anything, that not at all. But I think there is definitely, we feel that oftentimes as Black women, there is like this weight that we often carry. So, I mean, what do you all think about that? Like that strong Black woman trope that sort of, or that narrative that's sort of put forward. What do you all think about that? Do you think that you are strong Black women? Let's start there. I hope you do.
I definitely see myself as a strong Black woman.
I hope you
Um,
do. But I mean, but I also think that maybe the way that I am using it, the context I'm using it, is not all necessarily what society sees it at, but just yeah.
Oh yeah, I can run with this one. I definitely see myself as a strong Black woman. Do I feel like I fit the stereotype of that? Probably not. For me, even when I was in leadership, I felt like I had to be the fixer. Even prior to being in a leadership position, I felt like I had to be the fixer in my role, and people automatically came to me to fix issues because I was knowledgeable, personable, and I had the qualities that a strong Black woman would have to try to make things better.
Yeah. But I wonder sometimes, like, and I have this thought, is not probably going to come out very eloquently because it's still forming. But I often wonder, so I feel like a society often, even if they don't realize it, look to Black women to fix things, right? Just in general. Like, historically, we were nursing babies and raising babies, and for, people that were doing other things. So we've always sort of had a really centralized role to play when it comes to development of society. But I wonder if, back to that, in that authenticness, right? Like, do they really want the strong Black Tony, or do they want just the version that they want it to be, right? Because I have I have also been called angry, right, at work, right? And we know the whole angry Black woman thing. But I have been called angry for questioning things that were done to me by someone else. And it was like, well, you're getting angry. I'm like, no, actually, I'm not. I'm just like, confronting you about the issue kind of thing. Like, I'm not getting angry, but it's like, how do you play all these roles, but also play them in the way that everybody appreciates or everybody's comfortable with? Because again, are you being authentic, or are you sort of fitting this mold that people have for you? I know that's a hard one. So it's fine. It's fine if you don't have that. It really was just a thought that popped into my head as you were talking. But yeah, I think, but even like I said, historically, I know growing up, you always hear back to, sort of shifted a little bit back to that having it all. 'Cause like I said, go on a tangent many times, but shifting it back to that having it all narrative. I know you always hear. Like older adults, or our grandparents would be like, well, you can rest when you're dead, and it's like, well, really? like like is that really what we're doing? Like we're just working, 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 or giving, 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 and then we just ignore ourselves. Is that something that you all have heard or anything similar?
So I actually witnessed that with my mom. My mom is a phenomenal giver. She's a giver by nature. People that like anybody, she never meets a stranger. Like right now, I have apparently three adopted siblings, and I'm no longer her baby daughter. She adopted somebody else. But by with her, if somebody shows her interest, she's really, really giving. And by nature, people want to call her. They want to, have her pour into
Mm-hmm.
them. But for me, I see it as a major stop sign for me because I know that when you don't have it or when you're tired, people are going to be looking for you to keep on pouring. But if you're not pouring into yourself and making sure that you're fine, then it's really difficult to navigate that space because that's when people get burned out. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like I try to be I don't want to say the opposite of my mom. And that's why I'm very selective with my friendships and knowing which relationships to pour into. And even at work, what projects I should be working on and what drains me. And that took some time to even figure out for myself and navigate.
Yeah. Didi, what do you think about that?
Um, I think it's such a fine line of expectation. Um, there are times when we have that expectation that you are always there, you never take a sick day, you're
Mm-hmm.
always that person that's reliable, first one in, last one out. Um, but then, like Gigi said, it's just how do you prevent that burnout? Because inevitably you're going to fall. Inevitably you're
Mm-hmm.
going to run out of, there's nothing else in your cup to give. Um, and if you can't give to yourself, you can't give to anyone else.
Mhm.
And sometimes when we take that moment to take care of ourselves, to say, I need a minute, I'm so sorry, I can't help you with that, or something, all of a sudden we're seen as, oh, wait, what do you mean you can't help me? What do you mean? Like, you're always there. Like, and so it's such a fine line of trying to be all that people want and need us to be and be what we need us to be.
No, definitely. And just sort of to piggyback off of what you just said, Dee Dee, have you ever felt like you were failing at life because where you are now, or your timeline, or what you thought isn't quite the one that you had set for yourself growing up? So, like for example, I know for myself, life. I mean, life is good. Don't get me wrong, but this is definitely not how 15-year-old Tony thought it was gonna go. Right? Like this is nothing like it, and which has been a blessing in a sense because I've experienced things and done things that I couldn't even imagine at that age because I had such a, not a narrow view, I would say, but like this like timeline of this is what success looks like for me. Like I was supposed to graduate with my bachelor's at 20, then I was going to go back for my master's at 22. I was going to marry my college sweetheart by 24, and I was going to start popping out babies around 25, 26 because we needed a year of enjoying each other, right? I was going to have 3 kids. I was going to adopt one, So I was gonna have four total, and that was gonna be it. Like, I mean, like, and it's interesting because that's also sort of where my dream ended, which is somewhat concerning. I guess not, maybe not really for a person in high school, but I didn't have I didn't have like big dreams. I just wanted like just the standard. What about you all? Did have you ever felt like, or even it, and it doesn't even have to be that long range, right? It might be something that you just plan to accomplish in the next 2 years, and that 2 years is up, and you're like, yeah, it's just not what I thought, or yeah.
I'll let Dee Dee run with this one.
Uh, I definitely had a lot of that. I had to spend some time in therapy and also in a lot of prayerful thought about my career when I made the decision to change careers in my late 30s, because I struggle with the idea that I was starting all over at the bottom of a
Mm-hmm.
new totem pole. Um, that was rough. And then when I finally came to the realization that it wasn't in God's plan for us to have biological babies, I struggled a lot with that because, yeah, just like you said, in my head, I was, by the time I was, 28, 29, I was going to pop all these babies out. And it turns out that I hadn't even met the love of my life at that point, and so then we got together and realized that life is a lot more complicated than we thought it would be. And so working through those feelings, working through letting go of the life you thought you were going to have, the expectations you had for yourself, and allowing yourself to open up and see the world that God has for you that's actually in front of you, not the one that you have predicted in your head. And so it does take some time. It's not as simple as it sounds to let go of that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So to kind of echo what Dee Dee said, for me, there's a verse that sticks out in my mind that I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you. And that has taken me through a lot of seasons. Um, by nature, I'm not a person who plans. I actually dread planning. I don't like packing. But I can say, even when I was a little girl, I really didn't know what my course was going to be. I thought I was going to be a psychologist because I love helping people. I thought I was going to be an occupational therapist because I thought it was cool. I actually did an internship in college. But for me, I had to think back to what I fundamentally wanted to do, which was help people. And in my current role, I feel fulfilled, and I definitely want to expand on that. But I just know that I have to be okay with the chapter I'm in, and then also navigating and upskilling. And that's what I've been doing in this chapter of my life.
Okay. So I guess where you are now, what would you say winning, quote unquote, winning looks like for you now? Like, what does that mean for you?
So for me, I'm a homeowner, and something there was a day that my dad passed away not too long ago, but there was a day that my parents came to visit me and they fell asleep on the couch. And I remember writing in my diary that to me, that's what success looks like, watching my parents sleep on the couch. And to me, I just felt a moment of peace and accomplishment because when I thought about my younger self, I would have never thought that I would be able to own my own home by myself. And that's something that really gave me a sense of accomplishment. And that to me was my true definition of success. So just having my parents in a restful state in my home watching TV, it was just to me it was a moment of bliss. And for me, spending time with my family when I want to is a measure of success that to me is freeing, and it's also something that I'm really happy that I have at this point since I work remotely.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Um, I think for me, there's the idea of overall success, and then I feel like you have daily uh, milestones of success.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so overall, of course, being satisfied in your career, not just satisfied with an aspect of your career, but
Mm-hmm.
with all of it in totality, um, as well as in your relationship, in my case, in your relationship. Um, but then also daily, if it means that you get to the end of the day and everyone had a great day. You were able to teach somebody something new, or you were able to share a word of wisdom with somebody, or someone was able to share a word of wisdom with you. Sometimes it's just a daily success. Like I feel like today was a success. Like my week might have been a hot mess, but today was a success.
No, I mean, that's so true. And that's, also that being grateful and having gratitude, right? And understanding that we don't have complete control over what life is going to throw at us, right? I mean, we can influence it definitely, but things
Mm-hmm.
happen and we have no control. But it's being able to stop and think, like you said, Dee Dee, like what was great about today, or
Mm-hmm.
what was great about this week. For me, I think I more focus on the dailies versus, oh, we lost you.
Yeah, my family just moved. I'm
No
still
worries.
here.
But I think I focus a lot more on the dailies versus the long range. I mean, there are some long range things, but I just got back from a 10-day trip, right? Not To me, that's a win that I am able to do that. Like I am not rich. Don't listen. I want to make sure everybody out there in the internet world has that straight. But I am able to make time and space and participate in the things that matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
I and to talk a little bit more about that, I actually was on a medical trip where we were able to provide care to the people of Uganda, right? And so in 5 days, we served over 1,000 people.
Wow,
And
that
I
is amazing.
mean, I
That's
know I am
amazing.
exhausted. Putting that, it was a 40-hour travel day yesterday. I got home last night, so I'm tired. But it's like, but stepping back, like when I woke up this morning, I was a little grumpy because I was sleepy. But then I was like, why? Like, you had these people, you showed up at the clinic day and the line was like insane. These people were coming to get care that they don't get. But they were all so happy, right? Like it sounds cliche, but they were truly happy. Like they weren't there complaining and grumpy like we typically are in this country because it took too long, or is this or is that. They were just
Mm-hmm.
grateful to be able to get the care. It wasn't attitudes or anything like that. And it's a reminder that, we really are, typically we're living our best lives. We just need to be able to stop and look back and say, oh wow, I like, somebody let me across the street today while I was jaywalking and they smiled at me. Like that truly is a win that we should appreciate.
Right.
Or I don't have to go to the doctor. My health is for the most part pretty good, right? Like I'm not going to regular doctor's appointments. And so for me, I think I just want to wake up every morning, do at least one good thing, and whatever that looks like, and then be able to sleep in my bed at night. Like to me, that's my win because I am not stressed by anybody's son. Most importantly, I am not stressed. I mean, I am a little stressed at work, but I'm not stressed at work. I enjoy what I do. I am, like, as you all know, as of June 1st, I will be starting a remote position, which is aligns perfectly with my lifestyle in general. So, it's just looking, being able to stop and think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think I can't remember which one of you brought it up, but the ability to be able to align ourselves with what matters to us versus what someone else is expecting us to do, right? Because there are definitely still expectations from family and some friends on what they think my life should look like. And that's fine, they're entitled to it. But I feel like I've grown or matured enough that it doesn't bother me anymore. I listen. I say okay, and then I go and have a good life doing what I want to do. So there's that. So yes. So just we developed a mini challenge for all our listeners this week. So we want you to think about three things that you are proud of, or three things that are important to you, things that I wouldn't know from reading your resume, right? Because I feel like we also are so big about equating work and career with ourselves. I heard someone told me one time that one of the most common first questions, right, whether it's dating or new friendships, is like, what do you do? And it's like, why? Like, why does that matter? Like, why is that the first question that we tend to ask people, right? Versus the, what is something you love? What is something that brings you joy? It's usually, well, what do you do? Are y'all guilty of that? I mean, I do it. I'm not even gonna lie, because I want to know.
So
I
actually shifted from that question. So what I like to ask now is what aspects of your role do you enjoy, or what are projects are you working on that lights you up, or questions along those lines about having people excited about something versus what you do, because what you do doesn't really define you. Somebody could be a waiter and that could be the best job to them. And that's fine because they really enjoy helping people in that way. So that's why I kind of stay away from that type of question, because for me, it doesn't really help someone or get to know someone on a deeper level.
Definitely. But yeah. But before we move on from that, Didi, I wanted to talk a little bit more because we talked about it and I feel like you alluded to it a little bit in your answer. But I mean, so obviously you've had a life shift, right? And I mean,
Right.
you have a well, what is it? 16-month-old now? 16?
Almost
Yeah.
16 months.
16-month-old now who's probably bringing all the cold stuff to you in daycare and doing all the things, right? And as we know, you are an attorney, so just by nature your job is demanding, right? So I mean,
Mhm.
and you did talk about this, but like just sort of talk about, do you feel like you have it all now? And then sort of what keeps you grounded, or are there still things you want? Just share a little bit about that.
Um,
Oh, and happy belated Mother's Day for your first
Thank
Mother's Day.
you.
I did want to shout that out. We talked about it already, but I want y'all to, But yeah, okay.
Um, I do feel like I have it all now, partly because I always wanted two kids. That was what I wanted. So to get them in one little package together was awesome.
Hmm.
Um, and my goals for life have shifted. So whereas before my goals were so focused on travel and experiences and things like that, now it's what can I do to make the boys more comfortable? What uh, things that can I teach and instill in them that will that they'll carry with them in the future? What affirmations are placed in my heart for me to teach to them? Um, how can I build a life for them that they'll look back on and say, I'm so glad that this family picked me. So it feels like those are my goals versus what they looked like even 5 months ago
Hmm.
before we even knew about them.
Hmm.
So pretty exciting.
Very cool. Yeah. And I mean, and I think it's also understanding that wherever you are in life in your season, if you are healthy and employed, you do have it all, right? Like those things, those extra things are additions, right?
Hmm.
And we are so happy that you have the boys with you. But even 3 months ago, you did have it all. Like you have a
Right.
loving relationship, you have a great career, you have family support. And
Hmm.
so I think that's the, not so much the thing that makes it a myth, but what makes it hard for a lot of people to appreciate. It's like you think it's a checklist, but really it's
Oh, right.
just
Hmm.
appreciating where you are, right
Mhm.
now and looking at your accomplishments, you can work towards more things and still have it all in the moment. And
Exactly.
right,
Exactly.
those things should be complementary, not necessarily defining how you feel
Mhm.
about yourself and where you are in life. So yeah, definitely. Also, just as an FYI, because I feel like I've been scratching a lot, my nails got tore up, and I have not had a chance. Done. So they're on the struggle bus right now. So just in case there's like a random freeze and you're like, why does she look like that? I have not had time. I worked today, which was probably not smart. But anyway, so yeah. Um, so to piggyback off that, I know Gigi, you had a story that you wanted to share with us.
Yes. So I definitely have a listener story who, a good friend of mine, she actually got pregnant at a young age and she had to drop out of high school for a period of time. And she was very discouraged during that time. But something that she did is she made sure that she took care of her baby. And then also she just kept on being a fighter and tried to provide any means necessary for her child. So, with graduating just from high school, she struggled a little bit and she became a hairdresser. And at that point in time, she felt like she was really accomplished, but she felt like she wanted more for her and her son. And she ended up leaving that role and trying to get like an entry level position at a bank. And then she just kept on persisting. Every opportunity that she could to learned, she grew, she developed. And right now, she is a senior manager of a bank. And at that point in time, like she really, and on paper, she didn't have the opportunity to go to college. But when I tell you she's one of the most accomplished, caring, giving people that I know. So if you don't have a degree, that's okay. Because guess what? You can still persevere and still learn anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And it's that mind shift, right? Because I feel like, I mean, well, knowing you all, I feel like we all likely have that personality that had that happen to us, or if we were in that situation, we still would have found our way out. And I know a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to, to have that personality or that like drive. But yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, in those moments, like you said, being grateful, right, for her son, because I'm sure, or sorry, I don't even know if it was a son.
Oh, it's a son. Oh, it's a son.
Okay, I was like, I think I'm just on the son, the boy thing today. But I was gonna say, sometimes people see it as a failure, right? But maybe that was her biggest blessing because who knows if she hadn't had him, she may have not been as driven or as motivated to do
True.
something more, right? Because like you said, I mean, I don't know about your hairdresser, but my hairdressers be getting paid because the amount they charge me to do my hair, I'm like, if y'all see three of me in a day, y'all are set. Y'all make more money than me. So I say that to say, some people, and obviously there's nothing wrong with being a hairdresser. Like I said, they make bank, but
Hmm.
it wasn't her true calling, maybe.
Hmm.
And but she wanted to be that person for her children. I love, it is graduation season. I love seeing the pictures where you have parents or even grandparents graduating with their children, right? It's because they're like, I raised my children, I did all this, and then they encouraged me to go back and pursue my dreams. So, again, they definitely had a dream delayed, but not denied, right? Like it literally
Hmm.
still accomplished it. And that's all that matters, that it gets done, not when it gets done, or sometimes not even how it gets done. The point is that you got to that place. So yeah, I think I know Gigi had provided beforehand like three questions that you can ask yourself when you get overwhelmed by like life and outside expectations or what you think you should be following. And so those questions I'll share. The first one is, who told me that this had to be true, right? So who told me, 15-year-old, 16-year-old me, that I had to pop all the babies out before I hit 30, right? Like who told me that? Or did I just receive these messages and just come up with this conclusion? I'm pretty sure somebody told me that. But for the purpose of this, I'm pretty sure somebody did. But and then also, the second one is this aligned with the life that I'm building, right? does it make sense for me, right? Because again, if I had done my plans or followed the way that I was headed, I would not have gone to school as many times as I did. Probably would have saved some money, but I wouldn't have reached necessarily where I am today. I definitely, one thing I can say is I definitely would still be living in the Bahamas. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I definitely would not be on here with you all today. It just wouldn't have happened. And then thinking about like where you are in life and in this moment, like what does freedom look like to you? And I think I want to stay on that a little bit longer. Because I would like to know what for you all, what does freedom look like when you think about your life? Do you
I can
think
go
you're,
first.
yeah,
So for me, financial freedom is the ultimate goal. Having luxury of time. There was one time that I was on sabbatical for a few months, and I really, truly enjoyed that time. I went to the beaches whenever I wanted to. I went to see my friends and my family. I definitely desire to go back to that. And whether it's, working remotely and just working on it in a different schedule or abbreviated schedule, I would love that. But if I don't have to do that and I have true financial freedom and I don't have to, that's my ultimate goal.
nice. What about you, Dee Dee?
Um, I think going back to what Gigi said earlier, just being your authentic self in every space, whether you're at home or at work or at church or with friends or family, just feeling like no matter where you are, you could show up the way that you are. And it's so often that we're not able to do that, that it touches so many different aspects of our life. You realize that code switching or pretending or whatever it is that you feel like you're doing starts to infect so many parts of your life that you wonder, are you being authentic in any space?
Mm.
So for me, that freedom to put down the facade and be able to just be who you are no matter where you are. That's like freedom for me.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm just going to steal what both of you said because, I mean, my ultimate dream or goal would be that financial freedom. I think it is possible. However, I know it's likely not happening in the next 3 months, right? So I don't want to put too much on it, only because I don't want it to then seem like I don't think that I'm in the state of freedom still. But what you said, Dee Dee, I think for me, and I've talked about this many times with many people, and even just talking about like where I want to live, where I want to settle down. For me, it's being, like you said, being safe and being yourself no matter where you are. That's at work, that's at home, that's with friends, that's with relationships. It's being able to just be yourself and feel like you belong in that space, whatever that
Hmm.
space is. And I think that's like for me is the ultimate freedom, right? Because like yeah, because I feel like when I feel safe and I feel like I belong somewhere, then you can't stop me, right? Like it might not be always about power, but it's like there's no reason for me to not show up for myself or show up for my
Right.
loved ones because I'm just able to be me, right? So I
Hmm.
think for me that's a really big one. Yeah. What do you all think? So I know, because we don't want to too long tonight. I know we're not all feeling 100%, but thank you so much, Dee Dee, for showing up and and being with us. But does anybody have any like final words, final reflections, any like aha moments, any, you know what? I thought about this, but now I'm thinking about it more and maybe I'm going to incorporate this. What do you all think?
So I actually like what you just said about being safe and being authentic wherever you are. And of course, I know mentioned that about work, but just even in my day-to-day interactions, I definitely feel like because I work remotely, I definitely have shifted. But I really like what you said about just feeling more safe in the
Yeah.
space that I occupy.
Hmm.
Um, I think being comfortable with the idea that your success and your now is going to shift. Just be okay with that. Because so often, in order for us to be that authentic person, we might have to make a shift. In order
Mm-hmm.
for us to feel that safety, we might have to make a shift. Um, so just being okay with the idea that shifts are going to come,
Mm-hmm.
and that if this is your path, this is your path, and just being okay with where it leads you.
Yeah, definitely. And that idea of being comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Because shifts are uncomfortable, especially
Hmm.
again when you don't necessarily know what's on the other side of it. But understanding, like Gigi said, that there is a plan, even if you don't understand it, there is one,
Right.
and being able to release yourself to just follow whatever that is for you. And I think I love this call to action that we sort of came up with, that we need to give ourselves permission at least to just let go of at least one thing that's not ours to carry, right, this week. And that's anything from you're trying to do too much to help out someone at work that's not pulling their weight, and you want it, whatever it is. If it's not yours to carry, try to let it go. And I'm going to say, Dee, in your case, make sure that you are factoring in some serious self-care, right?
Hmm.
Because I feel like, I mean, and you may know this already, but I feel like, I think that you're so excited, as you should be. Excited, happy, you're blessed, you're all those things, that it's still okay to pause and not feel like you have to pour into your husband and the boys every single minute of the day and your clients, right? So
That's
even don't, and I know it's still new, but don't be afraid to be like, y'all, I gotta go for an hour. I'll be back. And you may have already started doing that, but I think just keep that in mind as well.
absolutely. My husband has been really good that if I say I need a break, um, especially when that break is like I need a nap, he'll take the voice and he'll be like, okay, mommy needs a nap. So it's really good and it's appreciated. So yeah, definitely. It's hard sometimes when you feel like so many people need you for something. But yeah, like we were saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. So
Yep. Yep. But I also think you can even shift that narrative just a teeny bit and say, being grateful that these people do need you, right? So, I mean, it's definitely draining. You definitely need to take a break. But, for some people they don't see this need that everybody has from them as something that's positive, because of how
right.
it might make, like, it might exhaust them, or it might this.
Hmm.
But just like understanding that there's a reason that these people rely on you. Not saying that you shouldn't set boundaries, but being able to just look at yourself and say, you know what? I am reliable. That's why they always call me for this. I mean, still say no when you don't want to, but being able to take it and look at what are these characteristics that all of these people are seeing, why they're relying on me so much, because they wouldn't be relying on Susie from the corner, because Susie from the corner ain't gonna show up on time, right?
Hmm.
So definitely being able to, like, again, finding that value and that grateful heart in everything that we do. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, so I don't know about you all, but I think that's like a perfect way to end our first season of Caribbean Spice and Southern Charm. I have a lot of travel coming up in the next month. I know Gigi is planning to travel, and Dee Dee, as you know, is getting acclimated to this new life and this new lifestyle. And it's about to be summer, so that means there's no school. So, with that said, we definitely want to continue to be able to get together, even just for ourselves, but to get together and share and be in community with one another and share just a little slice of that with you all. So we do plan to return, TBD on whether that's the summer or the fall. But and I'm sure we all want to thank you so much for listening and tuning in and giving us your feedback, whether, online or just, in our personal lives from people that we know. So, yeah, so thank you. I mean, thank you. And it's been fun. At least it's been fun for me. I'm sure it's been fun for you all too.
It has been.
But definitely thank you. So, with that, I want to leave you with our wise words of wisdom one more time for the season. So, stay spicy.
Stay soulful.
Stay rooted. Until next time.
Until
Next
next
time.
time. Bye.
Bye.